What's going on, everyone? Fantasy football time here, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about 5 sell high and 5 sell low candidates right now for week number 5. I can't believe it's week 5 already. It's been going so fast, and I am so excited to get into this. Make sure you guys leave a like in the video, subscribe for more content, and go follow me on my Twitter and on my TikTok. Link is down below. And let's get into this. So, the first, sell high. Now, sell high. You want to sell high guys that are having really great stretches of weeks or really great weeks. Like a really great week, and that won't ever have that great of a week, or the value will go down in the future. And you want to try and get someone that has better volume, better value for like the price you're asking for from the pay. So on their number one sell high list, we have Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson on the Falcons. He's only projected to have 13.1 points, but his first week had a horrible week, and then 23 points, 16 points, and 34.6 points. The only thing that is keeping him consistent for these past 3 weeks have been his touchdowns. He had 1 touchdown week 2, 0 week 3, but 3 week 4. That was the only thing saving him from having a horrible week, was 3 touchdowns. Yes, he is very versatile with his catching and passing. He's basically a wide receiver, but he also runs the ball for the Falcons. I do think Ridley's going to step up this week. I do think Pitts is going to be a target they're going to be looking for. Russell Gage is a guy I like a lot. Mike Davis, I don't like him that much, but I don't know, man. I feel Patterson's value is going to go down. So you got to try and get a good value for him. You can probably get guys that are top tier wide receiver, like Deontay Johnson. You can probably get for him. On the top of my head, let's think of another one. The tight end, for instance, you can probably get T.J. Hawkinson for him, or Noah Fant, and a running back like who's a good running, and Chase Edmonds for him. Like, those are the guys. Like Swift, you can get for him probably. Jonathan Taylor, maybe, you put in a package deal. Like, this is the guy you want to sell. I know you got him off waiver wires most likely. Some people do draft in like the late rounds, but you mainly got him on waiver wires, and he's been showing up for you guys. But this is the time to sell. This next 1 or 2 week is gonna be a bad week for him, and he's not gonna have any more upside. This is his upside right here. This is his ceiling right here. We saw a ceiling. He's not gonna be consistent with it. He won't. There's no possible way. So that's what I think of. Our next guy on the list is going to be Nick Chubb. Only 11 points for fantasy, and he did have 100 yards. He had 1 target, 1 catch for 5 yards. No touchdowns. Nick Chubb is very touchdown dependent. He is very touchdown dependent. And I don't want to talk about guys that, and the rest of the guys on this list are going to be kind of irrelevant, or not as irrelevant in fantasy football like Nick Chubb and Cordell Patterson right now. But Nick Chubb, I do think people should start selling. I mean, he had 22 points because he had 2 touchdowns the first week, only 83 yards on 15 targets or carries. Against Houston, only 11 carries, 1 touchdown. That's gave him 16 points. And then week 3, 84 yards, but no touchdowns. Week 4, 100 yards, but no touchdowns. He barely got over 10 points just because he had no touchdowns. And it's PPR, points per receptions. You like guys like Eckler, like Swift, even like Edmonds that catch the ball. CMC, you saw with Kamara last year. Dalvin Cook, he's an exception because he's Dalvin Cook. But Nick Chubb splits carries with Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is that guy that you can throw the ball to and he will catch. Nick Chubb isn't that type of guy. That Nick Chubb is the type of guy you run on third down or on first down. But he's not a guy you can dish it down to and he will make plays out of it. And I don't think Nick Chubb, he is a little... It's really hard to rank Nick Chubb as a top 10 running back in fantasy right now. It's really hard to. He's very touchdown dependent. And here we're drafting him before Eckler, before Saquon even, before Jonathan Taylor, before Gibson, and all these guys have catching upside. Really, it's crazy to me how people are in love with me, and I'm in love with. I used to be in love with Nick Chubb too, and I started realizing he's very touchdown dependent. He splits carries with Kareem Hunt, and he's very touchdown dependent. So don't waste your time trying to rely your week on Nick Chubb, but you can get guys for Nick Chubb's value that will win your leagues. Please. Nick Chubb is a sell high candidate just because of how inconsistent he is, because he's very touchdown dependent, and so is Cordell Patterson. That's why we like to see volume and consistency over touchdown dependency. That's what I like to see in fantasy football. I am so sorry for not turning my ring light on, but yeah, I'm sorry for that. But our next guy we're going to be talking about is Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder came back. He had 7 receptions on 9 targets for 61 yards. And guess what? He scored a touchdown. This guy, he was injured. Came back. And I think Corey Davis is going to be a better option than Jamison Crowder. Zach Wilson already has connection with Corey Davis. Corey Davis is that guy that he likes throwing deep to. He's that guy that he loves throwing to. Even in the preseason, you've seen this season, when Zach Wilson has a good day, so does Corey Davis. And Jamison Crowder, 19 points. Sell him. It's on the Jets. might even sell Corey Davis if I want to, but I don't think I'm going to. I think Corey Davis has more consistency in the near future. And Corey Davis is a guy you play in flex. You can probably get a solid wide receiver 3 if you put Jamison Crowder in a deal with another guy. He had 19 points because of the touchdown. Because of the touchdown. I don't think the Jets offense is something I want to rely on. Yes, I'm being hypocritical about Corey Davis, but Corey Davis is the exception on the Jets offense. That's all I would have to say for. That's all you gotta say for Jamison Crowder, man. That's all you gotta say. Another guy you should consider selling high is James Conner. James Conner is not a great running back compared to Chase Edmonds. I prefer Chase Edmonds way over James Conner. James Conner had 2 great weeks back to back, one against the Jacksonville Jaguars and one against the Rams. Chase Edmonds is very consistent because he gets the carries. Yes, they do split carries, but he gets the carries and he gets the receptions. That's why he's been averaging 14, 15 points a game in fantasy because of that. Because of that. He's like top 13, top 15 running back in fantasy right now. He's a way more consistent player than James Conner. James Conner had 2 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks. He had 18 points and 20 points. That is not going to keep consistent at all. His first 2 weeks with no touchdowns, he had more yards in week 1 with only 5 points. He had 53 yards, 5 points, because no receptions and no touchdowns. Week 2, 2.6 points, 8 carries, 26 yards, no receptions, no touchdowns. And then you see week 3 and week 4, he had 1 reception, 10 yards. And he saw in week 4, 2 receptions for 16 yards, but they both had 2 touchdowns. I don't see James Conner having a lot of touchdowns. And once again, I'll say it again. Consistency and volume over touchdown dependent. I'm going to keep saying it to the day I die. Chase Edmonds is a much better running back for fantasy than James Conner is. I would throw James Conner either straight up. You can probably get like a Marvin Jones for James Conner. I'm being honest. You probably could do that. Like, I would not be surprised if people do that. Look at CMC owners, or David Montgomery owners, and try and offer them a trade for James Conner because he had 2 great weeks. People are gonna buy into it, and he's gonna shit the bed. He's gonna crap the bed for fantasy. So that's just how I think about it. The last guy I would sell high on is Kenny Golladay. He is questionable because of a groin injury. He limited practice on Wednesday. But he had 10 points week 1, 6 points week 2, and then 10 points and then 17 points. And I was waiting. I told you guys last week to sell Kenny Galladay, and I was like, maybe even wait this week until he has a big game and then sell him for even more value. He had barely, you can get a bag of chips for Kenny Galladay, but now people are starting to think, oh, he's getting the targets. He's finally getting the volume. He hasn't scored a touchdown once this season. Maybe he will next week. He's due for a touchdown. But with both Giants receivers coming back, Kadarius Toney finally getting some work in, I feel like they will all be much better options than Kenny Galladay. I really do think so. Kenny Galladay, he had 7 targets, 6 receptions for 116 yards. He had 17.6 fantasy points this week. That is not going to be consistent. Don't start him in your leagues. Please, please, please trade him. You do not want him on your league, on your lineups at this week. He has a matchup against Dallas. I really don't think that he's gonna do anything, man. I mean, he might have a touchdown or two, but after that week, he's gonna be even more value. But at that point, you can probably get someone that's more consistent than Kenny Galladay. And that's all I can really tell you about Kenny Galladay. He's not doing very great for fantasy, and he's not going to be doing great for the fantasy. I will keep my word on that. Let's look at some buy low candidates, guys that kind of shit the bed this week. And yeah, so let's get into it. My first buy low guy, I would be all over, is DeAndre Swift. He has high-end RB1 potential this whole season, and he has a great matchup this week against the Vikings. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. Yes, he splits carries, but he's getting the receptions as well. He had 8 receptions in the backfield, 4 receptions, 7 receptions, and 4 receptions. One of them was a touchdown, one rushing touchdown. He's getting more carries. He's getting more involvement in his role, and I hate Jamal Williams. I really hate him. But DeAndre Swift, only getting 11 and 14 carries and 8 carries, is still having one of the best running back seasons for fantasy football currently. Last week, he only had 8 carries, 16 yards, 4 receptions, 33 yards for only 8.9 points. That was a down week for him. He still got receptions, he still got yards, but just not anything there. But I like the volume more because the touchdowns will come, the yards will come. With DeAndre Swift, that won't be a problem because of how viable he is in the passing and rushing game. Like he's in his second year, he's in a breakout year right now, and he's currently breaking out. And yes, he's on the Lions, but still, go get DeAndre Swift for his value, because this will be the lowest it'll be all season, or one of the lowest it'll be all season. But he's gonna have great weeks. He will win you leagues. Another guy I would buy low on is Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts having an underwhelming week this week. He's rostered in almost of all leagues. People got him pretty high up on the draft board for his value right now. His highest amount of points he had was 12. But his lowest amount of targets was 3. And after that, he's at 8, 6, and 9 targets. He just hasn't, gotten any touchdowns. I mean, he's been getting the targets for the most part. He's been getting some of the catches. Matt Ryan is going to get more and more involved when he gets more and more used to the league. And Kyle Pitts is going to be one of the best tight ends in the near future. And I do think this year he's going to be a pretty solid tight end 1. So, I mean, if you need a tight end, don't bench Kyle Pitts, man. Don't. Unless you have one of those top 5 or 6 or tight ends, don't bench him. Don't. It's not worth it because he's due for a touchdown. He has 0 touchdowns in the week. He's due for a big game. He's versing the Jets this week. Great matchup. It's the Jets. They're going to give a lot of points. And Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is going to throw him the ball. He's Matt Ryan. He loves throwing the ball. I think Cordell Patterson is going to start declining. I think Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley are going to start increasing. With that being said, buy Calvin Ridley too. Don't trade him away. Buy him. Buy him as value right now because he will be a top 5 wide receiver at the end of the season. I would buy low one is DeAndre Hopkins. He had 2 underwhelming performances, one against the Jaguars and one against the Rams. It's the Cardinals. It is the best team in the NFL. One of the best offenses in the NFL, or maybe even the best offense, but I consider the Chiefs more having a better offense than Cardinals, but it is very close between the two. Kyler Murray in his MVP season. This is his best target right here. He had 10 points last week. He's known for getting the touchdowns. Don't use guys like Cordell Patterson or Jamison Crowder to get you touchdowns because they're not going to do that. At least you have guys that proven that they are like wide receiver ones, that they are one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the league. This is the lowest he's going to be at in a while. He got injured. It was a little bit of an iffy week last week, but he's going to be there. He's going to be your best wide receiver on your team at the end of the season. This won't keep going. He will not have bad weeks. Came off injury. People are going to want to try and ship him out. Buy him. Buy people low. That's all. You don't have to make trades, obviously, but buying someone like DeAndre Hopkins or Kyle Pitts or DeAndre Swift low will win you leagues because people are going to want to send them out because of how bad they've been performing or their game was. Trust me. Trust me and buy DeAndre Hopkins. Another guy I would buy low on is Aaron Jones. After a horrible week 1 performance, he had an insane 41.5 point game, having 4 touchdowns in total, 3 on the catch and 1 touchdown. And then week 3 he had a touchdown, but then he didn't have a good week last week against Pittsburgh. But his matchups are looking pretty nice, man. He has Bengals, Bears, and then Washington. And then he has his last then he has the Bears again, then Baltimore, then Cleveland, then Minnesota, and Detroit. That's his last 4-game stretch. Pretty decent. I like Aaron Jones. He had 10.9 points last week. He has the receiving upside. He has the rushing upside. There's no one else in the backfield, really. A.J. Dillon, he's nothing compared to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, I really recommend you get. You can probably trade Nick Chubb and maybe a little small piece for Aaron Jones. I would do that. I would definitely get Aaron Jones if you can. If you're like 1-3 and you have Nick Chubb or you have one of those top guys and they might decline and they might not have enough volume, get Aaron Jones. Buy him low while you can because he's not going to have this low of a game again. He won't. He won't. Trust me, he won't. I know you're thinking, oh, but this, but that. No. Aaron Jones is the guy. Go get him in your leagues. Please. Our last buy low guy is Tyler Lockett. He had 2 great weeks with 26 points and 31 points, averaging a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, and 1 touchdown in the first 2 weeks, right? And then he just shit the bed these next 2 weeks. Tyler Lockett is going to win you leagues. Man, I see people in my comment section on TikTok all the time. What should I do with Tyler Lockett? What should I do with Tyler Lockett? Keep him. He will win you a day, a matchup. He has those bursts. He has those big bursts. And honestly, I think it's worth it, risking having those bursts. If he'll give up too much, because that will win you the league. Guys like Tyler Lockett, Tyreek Hill, Deebo Samuel this year, DJ Moore this year. Those guys will win you your matchups. Go get him while they're low, or else that sucks, I guess. That really sucks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys didn't, please smash the like button. That would really help me out a lot and let me know you guys are enjoying the content. Make sure you guys subscribe right now. It's free. It just, gives me some support, gives you guys some content for fantasy football. I upload every other day, weekly, besides weekends. And yeah, go subscribe. I'll go follow my Twitter and my TikTok down below in the description. And I hope you guys have a great day. Peace out.